Shavua Tov, Daf Kuf, Amud Aleph, few lines from the top. Resh Lakish, another story with coins. Resh Lakish, Achel dinar the Rid Azar. Resh Lakish showed a coin to Rabbi Azar. Amar Aliyahu, Allah said it's a good coin. Amar Le, Hazid Da'alech Ka Samichna. Just realize that I'm relying on you. Amar Le, Ki Samichna Lai Ma'al Mimra. What do you mean you're relying on me? The imish kach pisha v'ainu la'hu fillah. Does that mean that if you find it to be bad, I'll have to replace it? V'ha'athu da'amart Rabbi Meir who did the Indian degarmi. But you, Resh Lakish, are the one who told me that the Meir who holds Dina degarmi, halachot of girama, of indirect damage. My love Rabbi Meir with lost run kavater. Does that sound like it's only Rabbi Meir who holds it, and we don't hold like him? Therefore, I should batur. Amalei now. It's according to the Meir who holds of Garmi, and we hold like him. So which one? Higher Meir. Which halacha of Bina de Garmi? Girama. Either Meir, if you're talking about the following Rabbi Meir Ditran. Done at the din if someone made a din on halachot mamon and bedin. Zikat hayav ben actually make the chayav guy patur. Hayav zakai made the patur guy chayav. Timet tahor made tahor stuff tameh. Tiher tameh made the tameh stuff tahor. Masha asa asui v'shlemi veto. The bet what is done is done. You can't reverse it, and the dayan has to replace it. And Tosafot goes into the whole scenario. Why and when do we reverse? But over here we don't. So we say that's not the case of Girama. Ha'itmar Allah, in that Mishnah we said in that case, the reason why is Chayav because the judge physically took the item and gave it from one party to the next. So therefore, that case was not indirect, that was very direct. Maybe this is the case of indirect. Girama. Let's boil the Adam with Shahar. We gave a guy to dye it red and he made it black. Shahar with Adam or vice versa. Rabbi Meir says, no, to pay the wall. That's not Girama, it's not indirect. He physically did it with his hands. Maybe this Rabbi Meir. Someone who spreads his vines over the grain of his friend. How does it kiddush? That is kilayim. And you are a chayav. That's also a case of physically putting something on top. The guy physically mixed the vineyard with the grain. Maybe this Rabbi Meir. The wall between a vineyard wall and a grain got broken down. Owner of the field can tell the owner of the vineyard to put up the wall. And if it broke again, he told him again to put it up. The guy said, Hajj, I already broke twice, I'm not doing it again. It becomes the kalayim. But Habarakatu is chayav for the grain if it becomes kalayim, even though it's indirectly by not putting up the wall. That's the Meir that we hold. That is chayav on indirect damages. New Mishnah, I'm 10 similar to Tzabah, someone gives the wool to the dyer. And the pot burned it. He has to pay the value of the wool. So he dyed it ugly. Ka'or means ugly or poorly. If the improvement of the wool is more than the expense of the dye, you pay the expense, but not the fee. You didn't do a good job. If the expenses is more than the improvement to the wool, you only pay for the improvement. So either way, depending on what is more, you pay the least amount possible. Let's boil Adam Shachar. If you gave the guy the red and you made it black. Shachar Adam or vice versa. The Meir says you pay the value of the wool. We had this just a few seconds ago and many times before. Rida argues and says again, if the improvement is more than the expense, you pay the expense. If the expense is more than the improvement, you pay the improvement. Okay, Micah Orini did it ugly or poorly. Kilabus. He did it with kilabus. My kilabus. Amar Babar Shemuel. Kaflado dude. He used the bottom part of the residue of the pot that he used it to the dye pot. He used the residue, which obviously doesn't do a good job, and that's why it was done poorly. Someone gave wood to a carpenter to make a chair. Made a bench. So he gave him to make a bench. Made a chair. Meir says, has to pay him the value of the wood. That says, if the expense is more than the improvement, you pay the improvement. If the improvement is more than the expense, you pay the improvement. The expense, sorry. Meir would agree that if he gave the wood to the guy to make a nice chair, he makes an ugly chair, or a nice bench, made an ugly bench, he agreed in that case that you pay the expense if the expense is less. But if the expense is more than the improvement, he'll pay only the improvement. Right? So the mayor would agree in the case of the wood, because he made the lower quality of the item. Okay. The improvement that you did by using a dye ingredient, is that considered a tangible change on the item? Meaning, if I take a chocolate spread and I put it on the bread, is that chocolate spread separate than the what bread or not? Or is the improvement of the ingredients not considered material on the wool? Is that just swallowed up into the wool? So, what's the case? A case where someone stole the dye ingredients, and then he ground them and he put them in his own water to make the dye, and he dyed his own wool with it. Now the question is, can the guy take it back or not? Typically, that's a major change. He turned the ingredients to dye. So therefore, he has to pay money back instead, not the actual item. But to be tomorrow case where he robbed the ingredients that have already been made into liquid dye, and he used that liquid dye into, well, is that considered an improvement on it? And therefore, the guy can tell back, give back my item. Or maybe it's not considered material or in front of us. And therefore, I can't, I don't have it. Because it's inside the wall. I can't give it back to you. It's like, if it's inside the wall, that means the guy's patur from paying it back. Can be back. Doesn't you destroyed. Right? Definitely it shouldn't be patur. Where it says, rather it should be explained this way. Is the improvement of the thing considered not material on the wall? Meaning it's even though we consider it swallowed into the wall, and therefore we should pay in cash. Or maybe it is considered in front of us, and therefore he can tell him, here's your ingredients on my wall, take it back. Where it says, Shatino, what do you mean take it back? I'll take it back. But Sifon, if he takes it with detergent, it will just take out the dye from the wool, but that's not going to replace it's not going to have a new bottle of dye from that. That'll just be removing it. It's not gonna be usable after that. He stole the wool and dye ingredient, the liquid dye from one person, and then he dyed that wool with these ingredients. Now he wants to turn the dyed wool to the owner. Right? He stole the wool and the dye from the guy, mixed it. Now he wants to give it back. Yes, is that improvement considered material? Now I'm returning both. Maybe it's not considered improvement, and therefore it's not considered material on the wall. But therefore, when you turn back the wool, somebody in the has to still pay back the ingredients of the dye, because even though it's swallowed up into the wool, but that's not considered something be'ayin, it's not considered in front of us, and therefore he'll have to replace that. Right? So the Amri, typically the he's saying he shouldn't have to pay it back because now he stole $100 wool. He put $30 of dye into it, of your dye into it. Now it's worth $130. He paid it back like that. He did okay. It's not. He basically mixed it too. What's the problem? No, it's talking about a case where the wool became cheap, and therefore it doesn't equal to the original stealing the initial stealing that he did. It's like $100 and $30 mixes together. Now it's still worth $100. Now what do you do? People have a different answer. We're talking about a case where the robber dyed a monkey with it. All right, so you didn't dye the wool, you dyed a monkey. Now there's no improvement to the monkey. Now it's a purple monkey instead of a regular monkey. So now what do you do? So Rava says a different way of learning. Ravina actually brings a different case of how it applies, and we'll continue it tomorrow.